There is a specific kind of heartbreak that only interior design can cause. A person walks into a furniture store, falls in love with a single stone gray sofa, brings it home, and suddenly the whole living room feels like a hospital waiting area. Cold, flat, somehow both empty and cluttered at the same time. That right there is color anxiety, and it happens to almost everyone who tries to go minimalist without a plan. Minimalism was never supposed to mean boring. Done right, it is the quietest form of luxury there is. Today, 5 color pairings that turn a bare room into something that feels expensive, calm, and completely intentional. Stick around, because pairing number 3 is the one design showrooms do not want getting out. Here is a myth worth burying right now. Somewhere along the way, minimalist got translated into white walls, one gray rug, and a single sad plant in the corner. That is not minimalism. That is just a room that gave up. Real minimalist luxury borrows from an idea called biophilic design, which is a fancy way of saying humans feel calmer around colors and textures that echo nature. Stone, sand, moss, water. Restraint is not about removing color. It is about choosing fewer colors and making every single one earn its place. Once that shift clicks, the whole approach to a living room changes completely. Start with the combination that quietly took over every design magazine the last few years. Warm Greige paired with a deep espresso brown. Greige lives in that perfect gray-beige zone. Warm enough to feel human, neutral enough to disappear into the background when it needs to. Espresso brown does the heavy lifting. Think a low, wide sofa in that deep brown tone, sitting against greige walls that almost glow at certain times of day. Lighting changes everything here. Morning light hits greige walls and pulls out cooler undertones, giving the room a crisp, almost gallery-like feel. Come golden hour, the same wall turns warm and buttery, and the espresso furniture practically melts into shadow, rich and moody in the best way. That shift from morning to evening is basically a free 2-for-1 on ambiance. Texture is what pushes this pairing from nice into expensive looking. Unlacquered brass hardware on a media console, a linen throw folded over the arm of the sofa, maybe a leather-bound stack of books on the coffee table. None of it shouts. All of it whispers old money, which honestly might be the highest compliment a living room can receive. Next, a pairing that feels like a 5-star resort somewhere in the Mediterranean. Alabaster white next to terracotta clay. Alabaster is warmer and softer than a plain bright white, closer to the color of bone or aged paper. Terracotta brings the personality, a dusty burnt orange that reads earthy rather than loud. Picture a large alabaster sofa as the anchor, then a terracotta accent chair angled just slightly toward the window. Add a few clay-colored ceramic vases on a low shelf. Suddenly the whole room feels like it belongs somewhere with better weather than most of us actually get. Lighting is where this combination really shows off. Under harsh midday sun, the terracotta can look a touch dusty, almost sun-bleached, which fits the aesthetic perfectly. As the sun drops, that same terracotta deepens into something closer to burnt clay, glowing like it just came out of a kiln. Zellige tile on a fireplace surround or a side table takes this over the top, since its slightly imperfect, handmade surface catches light in a way that flat tile never will. It is the design equivalent of that friend who looks effortlessly put together without ever appearing to try. Now for a combination built entirely for people who love a bit of drama but refuse to sacrifice calm. Charcoal slate next to soft sage. Charcoal is not the same as harsh black. It carries a hint of blue undertone, giving it depth instead of flatness. Sage is the green that finally convinced skeptics that green belongs in a living room at all, muted enough to feel sophisticated rather than tropical. Picture charcoal walls in a room with tall windows, paired with sage-upholstered furniture and a scattering of pale wood accents. The effect is basically what would happen if a 5-star hotel lobby and a quiet forest cabin had a baby. Morning light softens the charcoal into more of a graphite tone, while sage brightens up nicely, almost minty. By evening, especially under warm lamplight, the charcoal deepens into something closer to obsidian, and the sage settles into a mossier, more grounded shade. This one leans heavily on texture for warmth, since dark colors can go cold fast without help. Boucle fabric on a chair, a chunky wool throw, maybe some unlacquered brass candlesticks on the mantel. That mix of hard and soft is exactly what keeps a moody palette from tipping into gloomy. Fourth on the list, a combination that proves luxury does not always need to feel serious. Ivory paired with dusty rosewood. Ivory sits a shade warmer than pure white, almost like the color of good candle wax. Dusty rosewood is a muted brownish pink, nowhere near bubblegum, closer to the color of aged wine. The mental walkthrough here starts with an ivory sectional as the star of the room, then a single rosewood accent piece, maybe a velvet ottoman or a slim console table, doing all the emotional work. This combination photographs beautifully because it reads as soft without ever feeling fragile. Under bright daylight, ivory practically glows, and rosewood leans slightly more mauve. Switch to lamplight in the evening, and rosewood deepens into something closer to dried rose petals, rich and a little nostalgic. Velvet is non-negotiable here, since it catches and holds light in a way flat cotton never will. A brushed brass floor lamp finishes things off, proving that pink, done with restraint, can look more grown-up than half the neutral rooms out there. Last but certainly not least, the pairing that basically screams penthouse energy. Deep navy next to champagne gold. Navy carries all the drama of black, without the funeral vibes, while champagne gold adds warmth and just enough sparkle to keep things from feeling heavy. Picture a navy accent wall behind a low-profile sofa, with champagne gold picture frames, a slim gold floor lamp, and maybe a mirrored side table catching the light. It is basically what would happen if a jazz club and a boutique hotel suite decided to move in together. Morning light makes navy look almost black, moody, and a bit mysterious, while champagne gold stays fairly consistent throughout the day, which is part of why designers love metallics so much. Evening is where this combination truly performs, since warm lamplight makes champagne gold practically shimmer against the darker navy backdrop. Silk or satin throw pillows, a brass-framed mirror, maybe a fluted glass vase. This pairing does not whisper luxury so much as it politely announces it, like someone who shows up in a well-tailored blazer and lets the fit speak for itself. So here is the real takeaway, and it is worth writing down somewhere. Minimalist luxury was never about having less color. It is about choosing colors with intention, letting light do half the design work, and trusting texture to carry whatever the palette leaves quiet. A living room does not need 10 colors fighting for attention to feel rich. It needs 2 that actually understand each other, dressed up in the right materials under the right light. Pick a pairing, commit fully, and watch a plain room turn into the kind of space nobody wants to leave.